San Francisco than beautiful bridges and quaint cable cars. Likewise, there's more to Beijing than the Olympics. Today, we'll find fun for the family that wants a little more Beijing and a little less balance beam. In this episode, even the most avid sports fan shouldn't miss a visit to the Forbidden City, the world's largest palace complex. Then step back 2,000 years in history and step up onto the Great Wall of China. And why should Olympians get all the exercise? Ride a bike through historic neighborhoods called hutongs. Also, Panjiayuan, the largest flea market in China, with the crafts of 56 Chinese ethnic groups. Finally, visit this abandoned factory and see the edgiest, most avant-garde art in Beijing. All coming up on Beijing Are You Ready? The 2008 Games will make Chinese history, but history has been made here since the early 1400s at Beijing's Forbidden City. Even the most avid sports fan shouldn't miss it, the world's largest palace complex. Construction of the Forbidden City began in 1406. It's estimated that more than 1 million men labored to build this royal city within the city of Beijing. It took them 14 years to finish. The Forbidden City occupies more than 178 acres, or about the same area as 135 U.S. football fields. Its 800 buildings are the largest collection of preserved ancient wooden structures in the world. Once you're in the Forbidden City, it really does feel like a city. It seems to go on forever, as far as the eye can see. Every corner you turn reveals more and more grandeur. Spending just a few minutes behind these walls transports you to an opulent world of decadent luxury and beauty. The heart of the Forbidden City is right in its center, the three great halls, which consists of the Hall of Heavenly Harmony, the Hall of Preserved Harmony, and the Hall of Middle Harmony. Leading up to the three great halls is a 250-ton marble carriageway. Think of it as a kind of ramp. Servants would carry the emperor up the carriageway in a sedan chair. The emperor's usual destination, the Forbidden City's largest structure, the Hall of Heavenly Harmony. Inside, the emperor's throne. China was ruled from this chair for almost 500 years. Outside, the Forbidden City is surrounded by royal gardens, moats, and thick walls. Each of the 4 walls that surround the city has just one gate for entry and exit. The moats and walls were designed to defend the Forbidden City against attack. Chinese emperors ruled within these walls for hundreds of years, until 1911. It's called the Forbidden City because it was off limits, forbidden to commoners under penalty of death. But today, commoners stream in to see how Chinese royalty once lived. According to most accounts, the emperors lived very well. Spending just a few minutes here helps you understand why they rarely left the Forbidden City, even if it meant losing touch with the way the average person in Beijing or China lived. As you walk by some of the smaller buildings, you may be passing quarters where emperors housed their legions of wives and concubines. Hundreds of years ago, you'd have been stopped by squads of eunuchs who were trusted to guard the women. Today, of course, there are no eunuchs here, nor are there any concubines. No emperor sits on the throne. The city emperors built to keep the rest of the world out is now open to the world. And more than 30,000 commoners a day visit a place that would have been off limits to them just 100 years ago. The walls that surround the Forbidden City are impressive, but if you're willing to travel 40 miles outside of Beijing, you can step back 2,000 years in history and see the Great Wall of China. Massive building projects didn't begin in China with the Olympics. Parts of the Great Wall have existed for thousands of years. Back then, the wall was mostly made of massive mounds of earth rammed into wooden frames. But during the 1500s, China was often under attack by Mongolian armies from the north, and the Chinese emperors from the Ming Dynasty got serious about building a wall that would keep out invaders. They turned to brick and stone. The project took about 100 years to complete, using mostly forced labor. Today, it's still the longest man-made structure on Earth.
The Great Wall goes on forever. It's hard to imagine modern equipment building it, with bulldozers, helicopters, and cranes. Now take into account that it was made entirely by hand, and it spans a distance that's equal to half the U.S.
The 1,500-mile Great Wall looks like an endless snake that curls itself along some of China's steepest winding ridges and mountaintops. Just being here makes one wonder how human beings could have hauled the raw materials up here, let alone assemble them into a never-ending wall. It was from these stone lookout towers that soldiers would send smoke signals to warn of attacking armies. And these holes in the walls, that tourists barely notice, were part of a strategy to fight off the attacks. Chairman Mao once said, "He who has not climbed the Great Wall is not a true man." Today, massive crowds of true men and true women climb the wall every day. Sometimes there are so many people that you feel like you're on a busy Beijing sidewalk, only this sidewalk is incredibly steep.
When they talk about climbing the Great Wall, they don't mean scaling the side. It's built on rugged hills. This is the world's biggest stairmaster, and watch out, the steps aren't always even.
And as you walk, every contour and every bend of the wall seems unique under your feet. The climb is no walk in the park, but that doesn't stop people, old and young, from trying. Going down is just as difficult as going up. Even the most athletic hikers will be thankful for something Ming Dynasty Chinese soldiers never had: handrails. If you want to do more than watch Olympians get their exercise, you can make a day out of hiking the Great Wall. The further out you hike, the more the crowd will thin out. The summer heat will be brutal during the Olympics, so make sure you bring some water and dress accordingly. The wall is an easy day trip from Beijing, about an hour-and-a-half ride by bus, taxi, or tour van. Once you get here, the admission price is under $15. What if the Ming Dynasty emperors who built the Great Wall of China could see their creation now? They might be struck by the irony that the wall designed to repel fierce Mongol warriors is now invaded by armies of paying tourists.